to Overdrive AF, official podcast of Overdrive Fitness. My name is Teddy Gerzon, and I'm joined by Gina Marie Gerzon.
What's up, everybody?
What is up? All right, episode number 158 coming at you. Episode number 2 at Overdrive 3.0. So, like mentioned last week, we're getting back into the swing of things of doing this, and we're happy to bring you some more knowledge bombs, I guess you could say. Right, so
Yes.
just a quick reminder, on Saturday, November 11th, we are throwing our grand opening kickoff party. So 4 to 8, catered by NoCo Catering. So we're pretty excited about that.
And Chocolate Place.
And Chocolate Place. Oh my God. This is going to be amazing. Great food from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so I guess we're going to have some... I mean, we already planned on having some great music. We're going to definitely have to make sure it's bumping so that people feel obligated to move and move off some of those calories, actually burn off some of those calories that they'll be putting down that day. But that's why we're here, right, to encourage fitness in all sorts of movements. Today, we are talking about
The importance of unilateral exercises and why they're so beneficial.
and we're going to just drop 3 on you so we don't overwhelm you with too many factoids. All right, so anything you want to add before we jump right into it?
I think that, well, I mean, we practice this here at Overdrive all the time, but everybody wants to do all the sexy lifts. So barbell squat, barbell deadlift, barbell bench, barbell cleans, barbell snatches, I don't know, things like that. Everything that looks like super duper sexy. We can train those lifts and look sexy and, feel super strong, but when we start to break those lifts down and look at the movement patterns, when we, segment different parts of the body and different sides of the body, I think that, we can start to see the little imbalances that we all have. I mean, everybody has them as humans, and that's why we do what we do, is to be able to break those movements down and look at each side of the body and where they're lacking. And we're always throwing these unilateral movements in, contralateral movements, unilateral movements, to help really optimize the sexy lifts. So and these unilateral movements can actually be pretty damn sexy too, and I think this actually shows off some pure strength as well. It doesn't have to be a barbell movement. It could be a dumbbell movement, a kettlebell movement, a body weight movement. Unilaterally, when we're strong unilaterally, it makes everything that much better. So we become more resilient as a whole. More bulletproof.
That's always good. All right, so one of the 3 benefits of working unilateral exercises into your routine, your regime, your program. Number 1, and in no particular order, but 1, correct imbalances.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you enlighten us on that?
So let's just say we were looking at a barbell squat, for instance, or even a barbell bench press. If we're looking at a barbell squat, somebody sets up under the bar, takes that big breath, strong walkout position, and gets ready to kind of dive bomb down into the hole. When we're using both legs and both sides of the body, as that person comes up, are we noticing, and sometimes it's not even that noticeable, but is that knee caving in, is that hip quivering, is one side rising up faster than the other, are we noticing a hip shift, a forward bow, just so many things, that upper back caving in, that kind of thing. When we start to separate one side of the body and the other. If we start to work unilaterally, so like a single leg squat, even if it's a body weight single leg squat or a pistol squat to a bench, singling out that side and singling out those joints and singling out those tendons and ligaments, if we start to work more specifically, it allows the whole to get stronger. So do you notice if that ankle is really tight? Is that foot weak? The knee is starting to cave in on the ascent of a squat. So in those unilateral movements, we can really focus on almost like on a rehab-based exercise. It really could be is really focusing on those tendons firing, supporting the joint and the muscles too, obviously, allowing those muscles specifically to fire on that side of the body more so that it can help the other side out when it's driving back up into the bar and standing up in that squat, or even lowering down. Sometimes people even have a problem even lowering themselves down into position. It's not even on the ascent. Sometimes it's actually on the descent. One side will dip down faster than the other. There can even be a hip shift on the way down, not even on the way up. So it's segmenting the body, really segmenting it to allow for the lagging muscles, the lagging joints, the lagging ligaments to really wake up, fire up and wake up, and almost like an oh shit, I've got to do this or we die kind of thing. It's that fight or flight response where you either go or you fail. So it's a huge part of getting stronger and again becoming more resilient.
If I had to add to it, I would say correcting imbalances or using unilateral exercises to improve your movement, but specifically to correct imbalances. I would say one benefit of it is a lot of our members, as they've noticed indirectly, a lot of our members are moms, and they have obviously had children. That's why they're mothers. But they tend to hold their kids on the same side, right? That naturally creates an imbalance. And I bring that up because we had a member recently mention that. She's like, why is one hip so much stronger than the other? And I mean, when we try to figure things out, we just kind of throw the pasta against the wall and see what sticks. So that just so happened to be the first thing I asked. I go, well, how do you normally hold your kids? Because she still has young kids. And she showed us, and we were like, I was like, boom, that's why. So I was like, it behooves you to really focus on the split squat or, the lunge, or anything that we would have them do in classes that, well, really you'd have them do because you read all the workouts for the adults. It basically, what we're getting at, it's like the slogan on one of our shirts, shut up and work. This is why we put it all in there, to help combat that, right? We don't need, unless you have some sort of birth defect, we don't need like one side grossly larger than the other, right? Unless, of course, you're going to be a world champion arm wrestler using only one arm in your body. But there are people, believe it or not, in that sport that are equally strong on both sides. So, cool. So correct imbalances, one benefit of using unilateral exercises. Number 2, core stabilization. So let's talk about that.
Well, obviously breathing's really important when we lift. The deeper muscles of our core have that connection to our hips, our spine, obviously, and then our shoulders too. So top and bottom joints, and then joints through the spine from top to bottom. Breathing patterns in general have a lot to do with that stabilization. And then even across the body. So say an offset squat position or an RDL, so a single leg deadlift, a soft knee deadlift, a single arm bench press. If both our feet aren't planted, if we don't have that stability through our hips, if our core isn't functioning properly, if when we're lowering that weight down, even with tempo or not, is that foot coming off the floor? Are we rotating towards that side of tension? We need to be able to stabilize, and again, that's where opposing sides really come into play. And I mean, it's shown in athletes too, like a punch, a swing, a throw, a pass. They use different parts of the body, and unilaterally they work pretty much all the time. To be able to generate all that force production from the ground, and hip to shoulder, shoulder to hip, ground to above, be able to transfer that energy is really, really important. So having a strong core, and again, just talking about the fact of how we breathe and the patterning of how we breathe, and all of those deep muscles connect to the deeper, obviously, joints of the hip, and those deeper muscles of the hip, along with very large portion of the spine where the organs lie specifically, and even into the shoulders. So all of those tendon attachments, and then ligaments from bone to bone too. If there's an imbalance there, that breathing pattern along with the movement, we need to get it more optimal. So working those unilateral movements is going to help to balance everything out. It allows that energy to transfer faster, more efficiently, and you just feel better. So all your sexy lifts, all your barbell lifts become that much more efficient and that much more sexy.
And it only goes to add, like, sometimes people will be like, oh, I want a stronger core, or I want better abs. I want a six pack, right? Mm-hmm. What ab exercises could we do? And it usually just comes down to the compound lifts. You want the most bang for your buck. I mean, obviously you can do some direct ab work, but I mean, you get so much out of a squat and a deadlift.
That's true, absolutely. And again, that has so much to do with your breathing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to speak more on the core itself, obviously, like you said multiple times just now, a stronger core will help transfer energy. But what's also the role of the core, right? It's to protect the spine, is it not?
Right.
And most of the people tuning into this show, you are the weekday warrior type, the washed up athlete type. We are getting older, so we need to prevent aging as much as we can, and in doing so, one of the most common things you'll see is low back pain. Well, your abs aren't the only part of your core, right? So that's why core stabilization is so important, because it protects everything, right? It's your low back, your abs. You can even argue
your
from
glutes,
your hips down to your knees.
Really, yeah.
Pretty much, you can say between your knees and your rib cage.
Right. Yes.
360 degrees, right? But adding in unilateral exercises, and not just doing like one set of them, but like actually making them a regular part of your routine, will help improve core stabilization.
Which we do. That is a very large part of the Weekday Warrior program, is that we train at 360 degrees weekly, on a weekly basis.
And this is true functional fitness, right? Meaning, like, this is strength that you will use every day of your life. Not like balancing on a fucking Bosu ball and slamming battle ropes at the same time. Like that's bullshit. That is the flashy, sexy shit that Gina's talking about. But I mean, ideally, it's not sexy. It's pretty fucking ugly, if you ask us.
I mean, there's a time and a place for all that stuff. But I think, being able to carry your groceries in one trip, being able to carry your children around, pick them up, put them down, doing laundry, fixing the house, like doing things around the house, and then people's jobs, whether it's, construction, I mean, whatever the case. We need to be able to move efficiently. The body was made to move. The body was made to to pick things up and put things down. I mean, to move ballistically, to breathe efficiently, like all of those things, and and to feel sexy too. Like, there's cause and effect to the way we train. I mean, it's good to feel good in our bodies and to feel strong and to feel resilient. It is. So, I mean, we need to do our best to really keep that up for as long as possible. And age has no boundary. So, I mean, seriously, we just have to be smart about it. Really.
And then last but not least, at least for this short list of benefits of using unilateral exercises, boost sports performance. So obviously implementing these type of exercises will help boost sports performance. And I mean, I'll let you go first because I could speak for days on this. No. And I won't.
Well,
and I won't.
You can. I mean, I think we had touched upon it. I realized we had touched upon it in the previous core stabilization as well, but I think it almost kind of ties into each other, just being that our bodies were made to move. We weren't made to just sit here on the couch, and although it's nice to have the podcast and inform you guys of all these things, which are really important, our bodies were made to move. Back in the day, we weren't sitting at a computer or on these Zoom calls all the time, or whatever the case, teaching people remotely. We were hunting and gathering and building things and chasing after things or being chased from things, or whatever the case. So by training unilaterally, again, it has a lot to do with that energy transfer. It has a lot to do with force production. It has a lot to do with being able to move as quickly and efficiently and as powerfully as possible, explosively as possible. It's not about for how long, low and slow kind of stuff. And again, there's a time and a place for that too. But to be explosive, to be dominant, to be a force to be reckoned with, it's still part of our DNA to feel that that strength and that power. How high can we jump, and not just on both legs, on one leg. How far can we throw the med ball over our head and beyond us, how explosively, and not just on two legs, on one. And what about one hand or one arm or one side of the body, rotationally, to be able to move from left to right, to be able to move from front to back, to be able to move from left side to right side in a circular motion, 360 degrees or 180 degrees, how powerfully, and how far can we throw that ball, how far can we hit that ball, how far can we throw that person. I don't know, it's just about energy transfer. And again, that has everything to do with the left side to the right side and everything in between that. The breathing, your core strength, your spinal health, your joint health from left to right, from top to bottom, and then across the body. And that goes all across. So from front to back, left side to right side, all the way around, right side to left side, all the way around. So almost like an X. We want to be resilient on both ends of the spectrum too. I mean, and bring it in. So go ahead, you want to fill in for me?
Yeah, I mean, like, as far as unilateral exercises and boosting sports performance, I mean, they work directly. They work conversely, right? So if you really think about it, like, especially sprinting and long distance running and any movement similar to those two, because that's pretty broad, right? The foundation of those movements are unilateral, right? So not, obviously my short-term memory is shot these days, but did we mention the difference, really what unilateral is, especially compared to what bilateral may be, for layman's term?
Well, go ahead. You want to go ahead?
Sorry about that notification that you may have heard go off. That's the second week in a row that I didn't mute those. So Let me try to fix that. Hopefully that's gone. Um, so anybody tuning in on Spotify or Apple, I'm sorry about that little chime that just went off. Anyway, as far as unilateral and bilateral, so simply put, bilateral would be your two-legged movements, and unilateral would be a single-leg movement. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be just on one leg, because we've done plenty of split stance movements too, which technically are unilateral, right? But what I'm getting at as far as sports performance in sprinting and running, so sprinting specifically, let's say the acceleration phase, you're about to take off for a 40-yard dash, right? You're in your stance at the start line. One thing that we like to preach, I like to preach, especially to my athletes, when it comes to, try to improving that first step. It's not an even weight distribution between your front foot and your back foot, right? It's not a 50-50 split at all. You're going to put more weight on one foot than the other, right? We do coach that your first step, you should almost leap out with both feet, and even in that case, one leg's going to push off the ground more than the other. Hence why it's so important to do unilateral movements and work on those split stance movements. As far as running, like long distance, right? Which is why I'm bringing this up, because, we have plenty of people in here that run 5Ks, half marathons, and marathons, right? I mean, personally, I dread long distance running. I'm more of a sprinter, like field sport type of guy. You thrived in long distance in your life,
well,
between
that's
cross
only
country
because
and
when I
everything.
was younger, I loved sprinting. I just wasn't as fast as some of the other. I mean, as I had gotten older, just, you know what, and that's another topic. That has a lot to do with strength training and why athletes need strength training.
Yeah.
Which we've spoken about, but that's another topic in itself.
Yeah, we'll definitely revisit that again. Yeah, so I mean, as far as running, right? One of the best ways that I've heard it put, long distance running, like that type of running. Kelly Starrett said it in his book. He said the easiest way to think about running is think about it as basically a compilation of single leg jumps, right? So a single leg jump, going back to what we just said, that's a unilateral movement. You're working on one leg, right? And I can't tell you how many people in here we've really opened their minds to. It essentially got them back on the road to recovery, like to avoid any more injuries from just running, right? Packing on all that mileage just by telling them that and getting them to understand, like, oh, okay, so single leg movements. Now it's a series of single leg jumps. Now I'm constantly getting on and off the ground as quickly and as softly as possible, but I should say quietly, not softly, right? And making sure we're transferring that energy, efficiently, going back to core stabilization, right? So see how the whole body works together. But if you think about running, simply put, as a series of individual jumps, single leg jumps or hops, that is a unilateral movement, right? So yeah, you're running on two legs, but at any given time, you will only have one leg on the ground, one foot on the ground. So that is a reason why, utilizing unilateral movements in your program is so important and so beneficial. I feel like we could keep talking about the benefits of unilateral movements. They are extremely beneficial. But
basically, if you want to get stronger and you want to work your weaknesses, then unilateral movements are essential. They should be as much of a priority, which we make them here at Overdrive, as the sexy, barbell bilateral movements, barbell bench press, barbell squat, barbell deadlift, barbell RDL, barbell clean, barbell snatch, but all of those things, they're all sexy. I mean, but at the same time, if you're just putting weight on and they kind of look like shit. I mean, so that's why we need to work both sides of the body, because you'll notice such a difference when those lagging joints and that lagging side starts to come back up to meet the stronger or more dominant side. Is you hit a whole other level of strength. You feel more balanced in your body, and I don't know, you just become more resilient. I mean, injury proofing the body is one of the main focuses here. So, and everybody should be really focusing on, I got one body for this life, like you need to keep it as strong and as healthy as possible. So, Warren Buffett talks about that, actually.
And speaking about athletes specifically, right? If you're not utilizing unilateral exercises into your program, like a good chunk of it, you're just robbing yourself of success. So specifically stating, those of you that just do you do your own thing, you do these bro splits, but you consider yourself an athlete, you're still in high school and college, and you think that that's making you a better athlete, it's not. No. Right? You're robbing yourself of success just by, oh, it's Monday, I'm going to go do chest and tries. And then turns out you're an offensive lineman and you can't anchor yourself in the ground and protect the fucking quarterback because all you're doing is just fucking standing there in the gym staring at yourself in the mirror or in the display of your camera sitting on the tripod, looking at your stupid broccoli haircut while you do some bicep curls, right? That's not as effective as, I don't know, moving a heavy fucking sled, which is a series of unilateral movements.
Yeah, and I mean, just, things like that, it's not going to make you more powerful. It's not going to make you more explosive. I mean, if they're basically just talking about increasing their muscle size, that's one thing. And we incorporate all that stuff into our athlete programs along with our Weekday Warrior programs too. But it's not the only thing. The fluff and buff is good too, in some portion. Like there's a portion there, but that's not, the main ingredients of the cake. Mm-hmm. It's an ingredient, but it's not the main component of the cake.
Yeah. It's like a cake with all icing, no cake.
Oh, no.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
So, I think that's all I'm going to add. Yep.
Are we back?
We're back.
Cool.
So I don't know how I'm going to edit this, right? But if it seems like there's a jump in the visual aspect of this episode, the camera decided to turn off on us. That was weird. But anyway, that's all we have for you today on the three benefits, not the three, but three benefits of incorporating unilateral exercises into your workout programs. And we will catch you guys next week. You want to say something? Oh, we'll catch you guys next week on another episode of Overdrive AF. We hope you're enjoying the new studio, and if you have any topics that you'd like us to cover, because it seems like a lot of you, you do have questions for us between sessions, you DM us, anything like that, just let us know. We're happy to discuss it so that more people can benefit from our responses than just you yourself.
What do you want to hear?
All right, so that's it. We'll catch you guys next week. We are out. Peace.